I asked my friends this yesterday online, and the responses were actually kind of mixed. It was interesting.
Oh,
But I said, which do you prefer when you go to an event? Lunch and learn, meaning that there's some kind of session going on while you eat. Lunch and network, meaning that you eat and talk. Maybe it's an organized conversation. Maybe it's totally spontaneous, whatever. Those are obviously two different options, but we'll call it lunch and networking. Or the third one is lunch and do. And I know which one you're going to choose, but tell me why you would pick the one of those three that you're going to choose. And let's go from there.
I want to hear the responses. Can I hear them first?
Yeah, I had people say they actually plan events where they do all three. They'll have options, one of each kind, maybe. I have people who prefer the lunch and learn because they're more introverted and they want to learn. And they find that once they do that, it opens up conversations. I have people that say, I like the lunch and network as long as it is an orchestrated networking. Like I want there to be some facilitation, make sure I'm having the right conversation with the right people. But if you do that, that's actually a good break for me in the middle of a day of learning. And then there's the people who are like, give me something to do because as an introvert, when I do something, it's naturally going to open the door to talking. But you've given me something I can do with my hands. And so now I don't feel awkward about having to start a conversation with people that I don't know. So people see value in all three. I don't think there is a right answer. I do think there's probably better answers depending on your event. Which would you choose?
So I feel that as business owners, then our time is extremely limited and we always have a long to-do list and there's always new things and there's always this amazing stuff. For example, you and I know there is so many AI options for image creation and video creation and writing and stuff. And which one do I use and how do I use it? And then when I like something, that's all I want to do. That's my thing. And so when I come to a lunch and learn, I'll be like, okay, there's another thing that I can do. I have my flow. Let me keep my flow right now because I have my to do list. When I come to lunch and network, I think that's more of a networking event, not necessarily just like a,
A
I don't
learning
know,
event.
event. Yeah. But a lunch and do, which is my preferred method, is I'm taking time out of my day to accomplish something. And I'm accomplishing it with other people that are trying to accomplish the same exact thing. Meaning, if I get stuck, I get answers right there and then. I don't need to email, I don't need to take the time off, and I don't need to wait until someone answers it to me or any of that stuff. I'm like, I'm here and I'm just going to get this one thing done in this time. And so for me, as someone who has very long to-do list and a kid that I have to take care of and fitness that I have to take care of and other events that I need to do, I want to maximize my time. And so I learn better by doing. I network better by helping other
Mm,
people. And
mm.
so if I can do a lunch and do, I learn from the actions that I'm doing. I'm helping other people. They're helping me. We're building this back and forth relationship of reciprocity. And then we finish with relationships and something under our belt that we can follow up with and be like, hey, we did this thing. How's it going for you?
Remember the movie City Slickers? Did you ever watch that?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm forgetting the main actor's name, but there's this scene where he talks about knowing what your one thing is.
Mm.
Do you know what the secret in life is? No. This. Your finger? One thing. Just one thing. You stick to that and everything else to shit. That's great, but what's the one thing? That's what you guys figure out.
And I know probably many people have talked about, do you know what your one thing is? A friend of mine was telling me recently about a guy named Carl who went to a conference and he goes to these mastermind events. Like he pays high dollars for these high dollar, high ticket masterminds. And he goes there and he sits in the back of the room and he's sitting there and listening. And then at some point in the event, long before it's over, he closes his notebook. He gets up and quietly leaves. He's never talked to anyone except for the event organizer. And she, after a while, started to ask him, hey, are you leaving now? Are you coming back? And he said, I got my one thing. So now I'm going back. And the story unfolds that his team got tired of him coming back with his notebook full of shelf notes. You come back with your notebook full of notes and they go on the shelf and you never pull it down again.
Exactly.
But in his case, he didn't do that. He dumped it on the team and said, I want to do all these things. And they're like overwhelmed and scared of him going to an event because he's going to bring back 30 ideas and we have to do them all. So he realized he needed to pivot and he needed to come up with the one big idea for his team. And then they would spend the next year working on it.
Yeah.
I think's profound. I don't love the fact that he left in the middle of the event, but I love
Yeah.
the fact that he had the clarity to say, when I get my one thing, I'm good. And I think that's what the lunch and do does, is it gives you a chance to learn one new skill, one new idea, figure out how to do it and go back. Is that the way you set yours
Yeah.
up?
Yeah. So when I set those up, I usually set them up as okay, by the end of this, we're going to have X. So when I do a lunch and do like a 5-day challenge, how do you build your brand with AI? By the end of these 5 days, you're going to have a video and 5 assets that are already scheduled to go out for your
Mm,
client in the voice and stuff. So by the
okay.
end of it, you'll have that. You're not going to hear me do it. You're not going to see PowerPoints about it. There's no PowerPoints. It's, hey, open up your computer, everybody together right now, go to this URL, put this prompt in, get that stuff. What comes out? Good, not good? Okay, let's work with it. When you're talking about that one thing, there's a formula for $1 million.
Okay.
Solve one specific problem for one specific person in one specific way. That's it, one problem. And I think most of us are so good at
Mm.
so many things that we're like a general practitioner trying to figure out why we're not making a specialist income. Because, oh, I can help you with emails and I can help you with this and I can help you with this. But when you think about who's the funnels guy,
What's his name? ClickFunnels.
yeah,
I'm blanking his name right now. Sorry.
Russell Branson,
Russell. Yeah.
why? I say funnels, you think Russell.
Yep.
Why? I say, who's that motivation guy? Who's that the big one they did on Netflix about him? He's snapping you out of stuff.
I don't know who that is.
Tony Robbins.
Oh,
Who's
Tony.
the
Yep.
who's the CEO that jumps from planes?
Who jumps from planes? I
Jumps
don't
from
know.
planes, does all these extreme activities and all that stuff.
You
Richard
got me.
Branson?
Does he jump from planes? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Uh,
surprise me, but I didn't know he did
what?
that.
They start with Y. Who's that guy?
Simon Sinek.
So there's this thing in your brain. So if you're sitting around the dinner table and you're going like, dude, I don't know why I'm even doing this business. And you're like, oh, here's a book by Simon Sinek. Find your why.
Yep.
If you're going like, oh man, I feel like nothing is happening. Oh, dude, Russell was talking about modeling stuff that works. What works in your industry? Here's his book. It's for free. So the problem is most of us don't have that one thing that people think about us. They're not putting us in this little box. And so nobody ever refers to us and they don't think about us. And it's very difficult to get clients because we're all over the place. So $2 million, one specific problem, one specific person, one specific way. If you just focus on that, there's no shiny objects. There's just one word. There's just one audience. I was the G plus go to gal. Many people couldn't care less about Google plus, but those who did, fantastic brand until Google had a bowel movement.